Hello, sir. Arun, sir. Hello, Arun, sir. Hello. Hello. Arun, sir.
Yes, ma'am. சொல்லுங்க.
Start பண்ணலாமா, sir?
Sure.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our today's webinar. Before getting into the session, we have small request for all the participants. Kindly switch off your video and mute your microphone throughout the session. In case of any trouble regarding video or audio, please raise your hand or inform us in comment box. If you have any queries related to webinar or any suggestions, please ask them during our query session. Please do not our presenter in the middle of the session. Please maintain the decorum. Feedback form will be posted at the end of the session in comment box. Please complete the form to get your e-certificate of this webinar. Thank you in advance for your kind patience. And now let's move on to our today's webinar on topic professional sports training for presented by our eminent speaker, Mr. S. Arun Raj. In this auspicious moment, I would like to express few words about Rehabstore. Rehabstore is the manufacturing unit. It was first started in 2014, mainly for the empowerment of children with special care needs. This small initiation has brought wonderful changes to many differentially able persons' life. It is mainly because of the materials and the products showcased in our website are completely research based and economical based products. Our rehab store products are designed and tested by panel of therapists and rehabilitation professionals. More of that, we have added a few end user at the in our team recently. Now we have 5,000 more customers all over India, and we have delivered many products to uh, some of the hospitals and SSA centers, etc. And in future, we are implementing 300 more products to our website soon. Please go through our website for further details. Thank you. Now I welcome our Rehabstore CEO, Mr. Ravi Shankar, to address our presenter.
Uh, yeah, thank you, Indovana. Good
Thank
evening,
you, sir.
sir. Good
Good
evening,
evening, sir.
everybody. On behalf of Rehabstore webinar team, I invite our speaker, Mr. Arun Raj sir, to this webinar. Welcome, sir. And I would like to say a few words about Mr. Arun Raj sir. He is closely associated with our Adura Special School for the past 5 years. He did remarkable changes in our students' sports ability. He has trained our school students to won state and district level competitions. And more than this, in his KH3 Wellness Center, he personally trained so many special kids and make them to shine. He is so dedicated, sincere, and honest in enrich our special children talent. In these 5 years, I noticed that he keenly assessed each and every special kid's talent and choose the best sport for them and provide full swing support to achieve the goal. In this moment, I thank him for his noble service towards our gifted kids. Thank you, sir. I was so happy when I came to know that Mr. Arun Raj going to take webinar on professional sports training for gifted kids. I hope today program going to real feast for our parents, and professionals. Once again, my warm welcome to Mr. Arun Raj, the participants, and our Rehab webinar team members to this webinar. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for addressing. For the past 1 month, every Sunday at 4 o'clock, we are conducting webinar on different topic to rehabilitation professionals and also to the parents and then to some of the end users to gain knowledge about this field. To that, we are inviting rehabilitation professionals from all over India to share their experience and knowledge with us. Today, we have our eminent speaker, Mr. S. Arun Raj, to give a presentation on professional sports training for gifted kids. Now, now it's time to introduce our presenter of the evening, Mr. S. Arun Raj. He has completed his MPhil. He is currently running his own wellness center named KH3 Wellness Center in Bayavur Road, Kanchipuram. Then he is the secretary of Target Ball Association in Kanchipuram district. He is the He's been working as a sports trainer in our Adra Special School. During his work at Adra Special School, our stud, our student has achieved world record 50 kilometer cycling in the year of 2019, and our Adra Special School has won the overall championship in inter-district special games in the year of 2018 to 2019. And our student Akash is selected as a representative of Tamil Nadu team to participate during national level target ball championship 2019. Then he has completed the Asia Book of Record in group exercises. He is the most dedicated person who has trained more special children to achieve their goals. Now I hand over the session to our presenter. Thank you, sir. Arun, sir, you can start the session.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Good evening to all. I'm going very happy to see you this evening, and I would like to thank Mr. Ravi Shankar sir and Rehab webinar team, giving this wonderful opportunity to sharing your knowledge to everyone. Uh, Today we're going to see of gifted kids be a professional in sports industry. Obvious- obviously, obviously, the gifted kids can be a professional sports can able to take. Then a sports training will have a process to performing to winning the goal or winning the sports. There is our four parts in the sports training system. Conditioning training phases. It's deal with health and skill related component based of training. It's like almost like in a fitness and skill related functional trainings. And second one is training and techniques. It's a training and techniques nowadays are to handle with coaches of various sports and games. It's also now techniques is a part of preparation to in the sports and psychological training. The psychological aspect the player or sports professional to make it a fit in their level, they only can achieve it. And then the most important thing, the last part is an nutritional aspect. So food making the make all those things be made perfect. So conditioning and training aspect. the conditioning and training aspect have two criteria. One is on a health and one is on a skill. Skill is on a nothing but it's on a sports related training or sports specific training. When we are going to the sport specific training section, before we need to concentrate the health related component. Like health related components are strength, endurance, flexibility, and balance, body balance, and body compositions. So all these five components more important. We are into the sports related training. In the sports related training, each will have a majorly will have a three component. One is on speed, another one is on power, another one is on agility. So when we are going to the training for the power, we need to concentrate your student. We need to concentrate themselves to the strength is most important. Before you entering the power training. Uh, Before entering a power training, you can able to do a 1 RM assessment, can be able to finish or can be able to go for another 3 or 4 RM, can be able to do a power training and the power training. The power training is nothing but it's an anaerobic basis. Anaerobic basis, you'd have to exposing the maximum muscle contraction, maximum force have to be applied for the exercise. And second one is an agility. When we are good in balance and endurance, these two components, when we are good in balance and endurance, we go for agility training. So agility, it's happening. Agility can able to changing your direction simultaneously. So you need to concentrate before you train. Before you train the agility, you need to concentrate on balance and endurance. Two things are most important for your agility training. And speed is in a combination of health related fitness component. When you are going to train the speed training, your endurance should be the optimal level and a high level, and your strength should be coordinate your endurance and agility to in the same way. So in the speed training, not like an a start like an a sprints or running on the straight pathway. In the sports can have a different classification to developing the speed. If you are on 100-meter runners, they are going to the linear paces, linear path, linear motion paces. So we can add over to the paces for an basic surgical planes and axis of training methods will be affordable for this kind of athletes, or they're into the some other game like a football, basketball. They also need more speed and agility too. And agility will deal within the speed. um, they have to speed, dribbling and sprinting, and as well as jumping, all the health and sports related component to involve in the same time in the sports, like in some other games. So before we are going to start skill related or sports specific training, we have to ensure your health related component of fitness should be perfect, and it should be the high level of ranking scale. uh, if you are have a doubt, will be have to train your endurance. You go for a 12 minutes run. It will be less administrative and less economical state of basis of training assessment. Otherwise, we'll go for a hardware step test. This is also the similar, but in a standardized test, we'll go for a bleep test or VO to max and a treadmill test. The strength, you'll go for a 1 RM, one repetition, a maximum. Maximum test is also less administrative, less expensive tests also. But in international standard, we just go for muscle reflexive tests. And balance you can be able to split into the two part in a dynamic and static way. um, so In the sport health related basis, we just fixed your balance in a high level. It should be the static and making sure that the dynamic basis. We'll go for a simple test and a Rambai test. It will be very useful for assess your kit and assess yourself to make into the sports in the next level. And power you can able to divide in a two parts. One is an upper limb. First one is an upper limb power explosive strength, like a throwing, and second part is an lower limb explosive part. This is like a jumping and the jumping high and jumping forward. This can be able to uh, help to other another phases of training. This is a hard standing broad jump is a basic test. Standing broad jump and standing high jump is a basic test to be assessed how much power, how much explosive ability can be in our structure of body and our structure of training methods. In the speed, ask the kid to run 30 meter of sprint or 30 meter of sprint. It's be more recommended. And before you're going to start our speed training, your kid age should be most important. Less than a 15 years kid, we should not ask. We should not ask to run reverse. We should not ask you run backward running. We should not ask your kids on a backward running. It's maybe they people have a less proper sensation. Maybe get fall down. You get a backhead injuries. And agility nowadays to making the standardized like a Elias test. You can go for Elias test. Elias test also a very less cost test only and low administrative basis only. And we into the training and techniques. The training and techniques branch of sports and introducing the motor actions. See, when we are fit in the sports and the health related fitness component, we are in a motor quality. Our motor quality should be fine and healthy ways. So we can be able to fit when we are going to be in the sports. We must good in motor actions. So there will have three types of strategies. One is in a cognitive, one is an assistive, and autonomous. In the sports, most experienced sports persons or most trained persons all working on the autonomous basis. They people know how have to react, when have to react. But the beginner, they'll have a lagging with cognitive and associative. These are two things will be happened, but day by day of training and day by day of assistive, we will make into the best performance basis. But these training techniques, it's vary from the sports. So we never give a training for a sprinters activities training. We unable to give marathon runners. uh, Nowadays, be example, if you are seeing the uh, Olympics, the Russian and European country people, they'll start a sprint like a 100 meter, tapping the shoulders and tapping the thighs, then start away for a running. But on our side, we'll go for a 15 to 20 minutes of warming up section. So right now, still they have some controversy going on in the research basis. Why we are going for 100-meter running? Why we go for warming up sections? Because the experts are saying our training methods are different. And psychological training methods. The psychological training method, three things will be most important. One is teaching and coaching and mentoring. Nowadays, you can see able to see IPL, old former cricketer be a mentor for some teams. Okay, so teaching has been a different part. Teaching has been a different part. We'll ask a question and reviews. First, we'll deal with the teaching. and high teaching will come a question and reviews, and high structurable basis, and high based of learning, and speaking special awareness to the what we are doing, like what we are doing in the sports. We maybe into two more specific and in a theoretical section. And coaching section, it should be more practical, emphasize what we are doing, what we should not doing. It will be a very clarity and very very clarity and very determined mind they have to work. And the coaching will be making a discipline and making a discipline to the sports and making a decorum on the sports. They on the field and off the field, it will be teach and practically. And this have a the coaching, it's have a creating the situation to applying the skill, applying the knowledge what we are learning on the sports, what we are what how we are learning on the health sports related performance, we have to can able to apply. So it's making the future well. And mentoring is an basis of motivate you, and we can able to grabbing the knowledge to the experienced person, grabbing the experience and grabbing the knowledge to the experienced person, and speak directly. And we have a motivating section between the events. And we'll have a training section, they'll have a training pedagogy of CP1 and CP2. It's like the competitive phases, competitive period of 1 and competitive period 2. The mentoring will help lot for the performance high. They have to speak what their experience, what our strength, what our weakness. They have to explain, and we have to motivate the before the section and as well as after the section too. And nutrition is a basic key point for an playing on the sports. While doing the physical activities, it's maybe an bodybuilder. It's nowadays in a bodybuilding as one of the good sports, but not in Olympics. Uh, but any other sports, athletic or athletic professions, or exercise improvement or and mental health, mental and physical health professions. Uh, major role will be represented for a nutrition and dieting system. What dieting system, how dieting system will be help, how dieting system will be help, and how to performing high in our health and as well as on our sports basis. It's preventing our dehydration phases in the past. It will be improving your lubrication and improving the performance phases too. And it's preventing the injury. If you are in an injury, it will giving a quick recovery between the normal state. And but we must know where we are going to start and where we are going to complete that nutritional dieting system. There is a most important basis. When we are going to train a special kid, um, when we are going to train the special kid, more toughest part in this dieting system, because the kids unable to have sufficient nutrition for the training. Uh, you people may know, you people maybe handle all the some other kids. Uh, Naturally, they are into the underweight category. In a BMI, we consider as in a BMI like in a underweight category. Okay, we will switch on the BMI. We'll make an LBM up. We'll see on the LBM. It's also populated people are very less. Maybe in the Down syndrome people will have a poor LBM, and autism poor LBM means a high LBM basis, and autism cases are very poor, and their people are most fast twitch muscle performers. So they won't taking a much nutrition diets and carb. It's lab and the sports nutrition diet, and they'll have a major role in the nutrition. The people know that a carbo loading is a carbo loading is a major part. How much carbohydrate to be needed for a day-to-day activities, day-to-day performance. They based on the carbo loading. It will deal with on our performance in your performance. When you are low carbo loading, while doing a high intensity of sports training performance, we into the uh, flight and flight mode. It will be less energy system to performing high. Uh, we have a trouble with the recovery systems, recovery stages. And as an apart, um, how implement to the special kit before we start a training section for the special kit. PARQ questionnaire is a PARQ. It's a most important for your training section before you starting. PARQ is nothing but personal activity and readiness questionnaire. This questionnaire was promoted by the ACSM, American College of Sports Medicine. We can utilize your questionnaire for your own basis, and it should be very nominal and be the common questionnaire base. It should be the common questionnaire basis. Uh, this questionnaire always have 6 types of questions. First, first question is recommended for your doctor says of doing a physical activities for the kids, or any other physical illness will be there. So first question will be like that, and second question, these 6 questions to be representing your heart and lung condition should be fine and good. You can go for an next stage of training section. When we are knowing unknowingly we start training, the people have a poor cardiac respiratory problem. We start in a physical training, we into the trouble. And another part is in the park, in the same in the park you orthopedical cases. Some kids or some persons have orthopedical trouble like an post, like a lower back injuries and knees injury and shoulder injuries be there. And another space is posture deformities. When we are going to handle the CP kits, it's most important on the posture deformities. Um, before you will start, if you have the posture deformities, before you start our training section, ask the physiotherapist complete the MSc musculoskeletal analysis, then we'll promote this training purposes. And second one is an age and gender. So will based on your age and based on your gender, uh, your training section and training model will be changed. uh, the same exercises can give a male and female, it won't be support. So we need to concentrate age and gender, the most important spaces to train your kids and train your any other person to any other training sections. And finding a maximum heart rate. So once we are start training section, we must know maximum heart rate and as well as a target heart rate and resting heart rate. Three heart rate systems will be most important to before you starting training system. Maximum heart rate, it should be that 120 by age, 120 divided by age, and how we going to be fixed on a target heart rate. How much intensity you going to give a training section. You people may had this kind of 60% of speed you have to run in the 100 meter, 60% of speed you have to go for a 400 meters. So how much heart rate, how much percentage of intensity, how much percentage of paces you making how much percentage of paces to be fixed while choosing your target heart rate. It may be in the 60 percentage, it may be the 70 percentage. In the corrective training spaces, most probably 60 to 70 percentage of intensive training and another next 30 to 45 minutes of intensive training for 60 to 70 percentage of heart rate. It's more effective and more performing well, and the they make into the less injury. They into the very good professional for sports performer. Nowadays on our side, on the South Indian side, they'll doing the people are doing high intensity of training like an HITT. They're in a Google, they Google and YouTubers are given a lot of training sections, but these training sections are good and healthy basis only. But when we are not fit for when we are going to fit for this training, then it will be useful to us. Otherwise, we are not fit in this training section. We get directly. We'll start on a HITT of training basis. We are into the trouble. We're making a lot of domes, and then the next day of training section, we are unable to perform. We are unable to reach on the next days of goals. It will be very tough to reach. And resting heart rate, when we are going to be a rest basis, or when we are going to the bed, when we are in a bed, we are going to measure the heart rate. That basis would be most recommended for your recovery spaces. The resting heart, based on your resting heart rate, we deal with in your recovery. The recovery, it may be in your section to section on hour basis, it may be in a day basis or week basis. For a low medium or a beginner, very beginner to the exercises, I recommended to for a 2 days and a week, will start on a basic strength and conditioning training. It will be very useful for to finding these kind of criteria like a maximum heart rate and target heart rate and resting heart rate. Based on this, we can able to fix your training model. And training sections, it may be in a morning section or evening section, or both on morning and evening. It's depend within a individual, and depend within a environment, and depend within a drugs the people taken. So three criterias to enroll the people, fix the section to the next level. um, so the based on your requirement, and based on your sports, the training section and model will be changed. If you are in a if you are dealing with high high intensity or experienced person of the sports related person, we can fix it on a couple of the days. We can start a training like in the morning and either evening, and two times of a day. You to start your training section. Are you dealing with an intermediate person? They are not taking any drugs, not taking any models of training or different ways, such a ways like in a medical issues. We can start with one section of training model. It will be more useful, and the training section should be minimum on a 35 minutes and maximum on a 45 minutes. It should be more recommended. And when we are going to the most important thing, when we are going to start a training section, we need to know, we need to learn, must learn how to become start warming up, how to become a start warming up exercises, how to become how long they're going to warming up the sections, and how long they're going to warming down after the section. So this is the most biggest criteria to fixing your sports performance. We are in an 35 degree of high low altitude spaces, 50 to 35 degree of heat hot surface. We never ask the kids to warm up, go for a warm up in a 20 minutes or 15 minutes, but they can suggest us for an 10 to 5 minutes of warming up. It will be more useful for an next section of sports performance, or sport next section of basis of sports training models. I will tell you on the last phases on the periodization. I'll tell you regarding the warming up phases, and duration and duration select and set it be in hour basis. You they people are get more advertised. International cricketers are all practicing in 6 to 8 hours in sports uh, in a day, but 6 to 8 hours on a sports in a day, it's usually very trouble, very toughest space in your body and mind. Uh, Most occupational therapists and most physiotherapists are knowing about the general adaptation syndrome. There are three spaces. The terminal phases will be struggling. They are not into the recovery space. They are not into the highest phases. In the between, they'll get in the struggling and get on a high level of injury. It's a depend upon the sports. It will be injuries will be vary. Then a basketball is most common injuries person for an ACL ligament injury on the knees, and like an will face it on a tennis. Tennis is the most castable professional sport. It's promote to the most common injury for on a tennis elbow and tibial tuberosity or ruptures. So when we are fixing the training section allocated by our allocated by the target heart rate, heart based on target heart rate and recovery heart rate. When we are doing exercises, we're giving the rest between the rest and exercise. Within a 1 minute, your heart rate comes in less than 100. Then we are fit. Then we are fit for doing a next repetition. So like that, we'll have some models to fix your training durations. Uh, I told you this for one exercise and another exercises. So when we are going to start on a first exercises, your heart rate reach on a maximum, not target basis of 130 beat per minute. When we are getting in a 1 minute of recovery, 1 minute or 30 seconds of recovery based on your training, the recovery spaces are different. Uh, that are in between the recovery, your heart rate should be comes comes up below 100 or below 99. You can start for a next set of exercises. So this is a basic randomly rule you have to follow for a section of trainings. And when we are going to before we start or before we professional professional sports training, there is our two types of two based of a tests will be promoted. The people what sports can able to choose. One is in a laboratory and another is in a non-laboratory test. Usually I heard many clients are of this question. Sir, my son will be very tall and lean, so I just put up in basketball. And some other parents says my son has be running in good in the home, they'll run good, so shall I put on football or 100 meter or 400-meter athletics? So I just always to suggest for a sport training section, uh, for a kids we need to complete the 8 years, then we start over the sport training. Before you start sport training, it will be suffering with motor quality dysfunctions. Before 3 years, and they'll have a functional motor quality will be developed, and another 5 to 7 years will be grass motor and lean motor quality developments will be there. So after 8 years, we just introduce the sports for the kids to be helpful and to be in a high level of performance, high level of result we can able to see when you start a sports. And after 8, we comes back to the non-laboratory test. It's based on your common health related or sports related common based of tests. uh, and we'll have a pre and post tests. We'll have a with uh, correlate with on a pre and post test basis. And non-laboratory basis, each every sports have a skill tests. Like an I will choose a football shocker valley test, and some others. Each and every sports have a different tests is be there. So based on your skill, based on your sports training, based on your sports training, we'll have a skill test. We'll choose we'll choose the we'll choose the test and ask it to participate the children to ask it to participate the children to in a high level of training. Sorry, a high level of score. They'll score. They are fit and they are fit and they are very coordinative for that particular sports. Uh, by example, McAdoo shocker test is there for football is a kicking ability and stopping ability and kicking. It's dealing with kicking ability. To enroll the kid, they'll have a norms to finding the kicking ability and they'll have results. Based on the result, they have to continue or they have to practice high. We have to know about it. And but not laboratory test not like this. They'll have basically they'll have a three model of tests. One is an ACTN 3 genetic. It is a genetic tests. It's fixed on your two kids. Um, is a sprinter or is an other non-sports trained, not sports person. It's fixed. This test result shows which sports can able to train. Their career will be high level and career will be next into the next level of the sports. And the second one is an usually they have to take muscle biopsy test. uh, it's finding the muscle structure. It may be the fast twitch or a fast slow twitch muscles. They'll have a lot of clarification on a fast twitch and slow twitch. Uh, Another one is on a third one. It's an kinetic analysis test, biomechanical analysis test. It's maybe in sensor development tests or video analysis tests. So based on your requirement and based on your biomechanist to train or to train the kids to the test, uh, it deal with in a different way. And
Very
last one
live.
is yeah. And this run our spaces of periodization. It's a periodization is a nothing but it's a space to train the training periods. So they'll have I used to usually I say 3M training spaces. One is macro and maso and micro. Micro is in a small spaces of training section to train like in a 7 days to 9 days of training section to teach what is the skill, what is the training phases, what is the recovery spaces to the children for a training section. Just orientation of the kid, orientation of the sports, orientation of training we can be able to give. And meso is in a little higher nowadays. And nowadays the people to doing the national camp or state level of competition, they're following the maso cycles. Maso cycle, it's not more than 3 or 6 months. It's in a less period. It's more than a 15 days, 15 to 20 days, but not more than a 3 month or 6 month, 3 months. So less than it shows skills and development, and it shows the next part is how we are going to physically fit and how we are going to performingly fit. So two things: they are a good sports person, we unable to interest and unable to and a good physique, unable to reach in a good physique, but very less physique people we can able to perform high. But this duration will be that there are two types of kids. The two types of kids, the duration will be changeover and will make it on equalized on a physical and skill over basis together. And macro sizes of cycles, it is in a larger cycle. Usually they'll train the people for an year. They train the people for Olympics, train the people for a international games. So So that's that kind of training model to be the macro cycle spaces. And these all the three cycle, they're minimum they're going to be in two preparative period, like the people say PP1 and PP2, two preparative period, and based on your competition, the preparative period before the competition, the preparative period will be allocated from the team. The team management, they're going to be allocated, and they're going to be fixed on what are the system we have to follow. So first PP1 in the first preparatory period, they deal with strength and conditioning, and second strength and conditioning and pre and post evaluation tests, and PP2 strength and conditioning and pre and post evaluation tests, and together skill related phases of training. So teaching skills and conditioning basis will be together. So that's what will be the more sports specific training model will be allocated. And the competitive period, there is have both strength and conditioning also to be maintained, but your sport specific training also to be maintained, but intensity will be little vary. Usually in the PP1 PP2, your strength and conditioning phases little high, and sports conditioning phases are little low. But in the CP1 CP2 phases, like in a competitive period of phases, your skill and techniques phases will be high, your conditioning and strength and conditioning phases will be low. And the last part is dealing with how we are back to in sports again. It's a transfer period or a recovery period into the sports, but the transfers and recovery period not like in a full complete rest. It should be in an active rest. They going to be in the activities, and what they're going to be not activities what they're going to in the previous days, but intensity will be low intensity of strength and conditioning, low intensity of skill based of training. This thing will be happened. But transfers period nowadays, the transfers period won't be taken on the team management. It will be taken by the themselves. How they are going to be in the personalized training section, how they're going to be recover, how they're going to be next level of nutritional aspect. They're going to be the personalized take caring will be taken in the nowadays. And last part on the rest and sleep. Uh, Usually when we are into the high intensity of training section, we'll have a very less rest, and be dealing with the sleep comparatively less rest and more sleeping pattern will be followed. But the rest between the sleep, it should be an active rest. Awakely we have to do. They're going to be they're going to be the daily needers. They're going to be the perform the they're going to be perform daily needers, and they're going to be perform uh, rest and active rest semi-active basis of activities. uh, and the rest should be always dealing with exercise phases also. We can classify rest between the repetition, one repetition to the next repetition. We can able to give for the basic beginners, like they are now just now they introducing to the sport, just now to introducing to the exercise section. You can choice, go for isometric exercise, isotonic exercise. Between the repetition, we can give a rest, and between the bundle of exercises, we can giving a rest. Like bundle of exercise, nothing but the set up exercises, we giving a rest, and between the exercises, first exercises and the second exercises, we can giving a rest. Okay, and then the last spaces sections of based on your sections or based on your days. And sleeping is a more if you are in a good and high intensity of sports training, like you are in a PP1 or PP2, you must sleep minimum 9 to 10 hours in a day. Or recovery and transfers period, we can go for 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and it won't be affect to our body. But you are must sleep the PP1 and PP2. You must sleep on 9 to 10 hours of sleep. But CP1 and CP2 should not able to be considered, because the jet lag, the competition or event will be organized many other places. It may be in outside of the country. You get on a jet lag. You jet lag, based on your jet lag, it won't be adapt for this environment. It will be suffer sometimes. So another point is, based on your competition. Nowadays the more competition are organized by the evening time. See, like in IPL, they're going to be finished in IPL at night 11, 12 o'clock. So your sleeping pattern, based on your event, your sleeping pattern will be changed on a competitive period. And we into the special kit. Most probably, motor learning and motor control development will be more represented into the sports for a special kit. Then a special kit or gifted kits, very less performance and less motor quality to be there for a day-to-day based of activities. Uh, so we'll deal with start with a motor skill, and the motor skill going to be help to developing the spaces for an assistive motor skill, always to be the cognitive spaces, and development spaces to be assistive, and motor control to developing the uh, autonomous basis. And three types of motor system, you all will know about it: fine and grass motor. Grass motor, the fine motors are nothing but finding the smallest thing, or finding the spaces. And the grass motors are always to dealing the sports and dealing the physical activities. They'll have a three part. When we are start beginners training for beginners, uh, dealing with non-locomotor activities. The standing on the same position we do for non-locomotor activities, more safer and more less intensity phases of training. So they'll recovering for the next section. And locomotor training, it may be move one place to another places. It may be the walking or jogging or an animal forces, ground forces methods we can able to give. And multiples, it's on a combination of fine and grass motor to performing the activities like picking, dropping and throwing, kicking and twisting and picking the partner, dropping the partner, and carry over the objects or carry over the dropping the object. These are the things, or most combination of the things will be happen. And always, it was already discussed on cognitive and assistive and autonomous. Cognitive spaces for an starting what we are still going to be learned. The cognitive spaces always the people done very simple mistakes, and accelerative spaces to be development. The skill going to be practice step by step, like in a 1 2 stage, step 1, step 2, step 3 to be development. And then only we can able to perform clearly on all together of the 5 or 4 steps to performance, which is considered as being autonomous. And I'm going to share about the simple basic motor activities. It's maybe it should be, it will be very helpful for your training section and helpful for your kids for a training. Very less injury. Very in the training section level, no injury free of training we can be able to give. And before that, you need for some other gadgets like an resistant band. Resistant band, it will be more helpful for an, improving the upper limb strength and as well as on a lower limb strength also. So basically the band should be in a, like this. There's actually expanded band. They'll have a different levels is there. I'll and we'll go for using for an angle weights. Angle cuff, you can hand over the weights to the angle or on a wrist. We can able to be able to perform. It will be visible. Sir, it is visible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is on a tang walk. It is on a. It's developing the more coordinated.
Sir, video isn't visible,
And
sir. Excuse me, sir.
yeah, yeah. I'll check. One second. A tang walk, walking in a line. So basically, we'll start basics walking pattern or walking gait training. You just start with the basically walk on the line. It's more supportive and more supportive medial group of muscle will be balanced. And as well as on the next promotion basis of activity, ask your kids or ask your people to run on the line slowly. It will increasing your lower increasing your knee gaits. It is a little fun activities for an multiplicative activities. So simple throwing on the object and carry out the ball in some other place and throwing on the target on some other places. And next one is kicking on the ball. We can use the kicking on the ball for an wrist ball more visible and more injury less. So otherwise you can use in a painted ball also. For specifically for a kids, ask him to do kicking on the ball. They feel joy and fun. Unknowingly, they're going to be trained their motor skill and they're going to be training the coordinative activities. And we go for a zigzag run. So it's a basic zigzag run. It will be develop the agility based of sport training. Ask your kids low intensity to then high intensity spaces. So simultaneously you have to change the direction to while we going to perform this. For jumping criteria of activities, switch over the mat to developing the fine motor activities also, then also in explosive development, explosive jumps and explosive development. It's in a marching on the spark. So low intensity of exercise to never impact in your ankle and knees and lower back. Low impactively we have to do to develop this strength, endurance, and on the spot. It may be in the semi locomotor and non locomotor, the combinative of bases. And the next one is in a shape running. You can teach the kids how to run on the different spaces, and as well as you can concentrate in your curriculum too. So ask your kids on a different shapes like in a circle, triangle, and square like that. like that. We can fix on a different scale of just creative basis of activities. It will promote your kids to easily increasing your cardiovascular endurance. These are simple activities for throwing and catching. We can give for an. I used to suggest always in a Swiss ball of throwing and catching and kicking on the ball, all the things, because there are more visibility and less injury. If you are hurt on the body, hurt on the face, will have a less injury. There will be less injury. That's why I always suggest the ball. It's an progressive stages of on-the-spot marching, high knee basis. For an assumption, you just keep your arms on the front. You just reach your toes, knees on the palms. It's a little high intensity exercises while performing in a more than a 1 minute or more than a 30 seconds. These are on a little more coordinative and reaction time exercises for an sports. Just tossing the ball and clap over it up. Clap front and back. Again, you need to catch. So as you can reduce your throwing the ball and reduce your ball height, then your speed and reaction time will be increased. This is an animal force ground force activity called an bear walk. It will be simultaneously increase your cardiovascular endurance and as well as a coordination and balance too. Those who are have diaphragm compression activity compression complaint, we should not giving this, and the hypertension people we should not give this. It's a T run. It's one of the agility testing scale also. Simultaneously, we have to change the direction, and simultaneously we have to changing the position of the body in the happen in the T run. So it's an oldest test for finding the agility. And it's in a dynamic balance stay tuned. We just kicking over the object and balancing in a one leg. It should be the for the kids. It should be the more fun and joy. They're going to unknowingly learn the balancing activities. And it was in a level 1 obstacle relay. It always an obstacle to be joy and fun for the kids, and other soul called as a huddle run. We just jump over for an obstacle, then we'll come back to it. It's a very basic obstacle runs. We just coordinate in your jumping ability and learning ability and the together. These are the most dynamic exercises for an wall squat, and also there's a close kinematic exercises to promote the leg strength and as well as an high intensity and a safer way of exercises. It's preventing your lower back injury and as well as your knee injuries too. If you are dealing with the hypertension people, we just practicing more than a 1 month or more than a 2 month of section, we just suggest for a squats. This is for a side to side jumps on a 4 points of spaces. It may be to promote proper sensation and as well as in your dynamic balance and explosive power in the same on a single exercise. So we can ask a kid for a clockwise or a 5 jumps and an anti-clockwise for a 5 jumps. It will be more recommended and it will be developing the explosive and cardio endurance also, cardiovascular endurance also. Then another ground force method. We just twist over and crossing belt exercise program. It's a basic crossover training sections. And basic push-ups training sections. Then a basic push-ups. It will be developing to developing the upper limbs. Sir, I am audible only. Saravana?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. It is a single leg hopping. The sport training phases the single leg of landing. Single leg landing is the most common action to land and landing experience in the single leg. So we just giving a small jumps like an hopping to train and adapt the muscle and adapt the joint for a single leg landing. And this is on a burpee. It's in a combination of lower limb and upper limb explosive strength, and it will be concentrated on all the sites of component. That's like based on your health related based of component and as well as on a skill related based of component. There's a single exercise. It will be promote for all the based of activities to all the component like an endurance, strength, the flexibility, and reaction time. All the things of component will be working on the same time. It's like a one push-ups, go for a squat, and go for an explosive. So 3 things will be simultaneously and coordinatively. It is in a level 2 an obstacle relay. We just run and jump over and climb over to the obstacle. There is no limit. There is no limit for an obstacle. Only point your kids able to do all these things to be developed for an functional motor quality. Only point you need to concentrate your kid more functional or more effective to performing this skill. It's another species of ground forces method, like a crab walk. We can give the guys is done in a forward crab walking position. We can give on a dynamically in a lateral paces also and the forward and backward paces also. It will be promote unknowingly the kids posterior aspect of the muscle will be performing and posterior aspect of muscle will be coordinating the activities because we are not suggest for less than a 15 years kids. We are not suggest for a backward run or backward walk. So we can change over it. We can give this kind of exercises most useful for posterior side of the aspect of the body. Posterior side aspect of your muscles will be coordinating for in your crash belt training methods, training sections. But this for an it's called an galloping. It's concentrating on two things. One is an explosive, one is a coordinative and cardiovascular systems. So high and hand coordinate in the same way, and explosive and proper sensation in the same way to be worked. It is for a little more high intensity of training section. Those who are on elite spaces of athletic training, I'll just suggest for these exercises. You can go for an pec press, elevative gravity of exercises to be promoted. Body, upper body muscle will be represented. These exercises promote the more shoulder stability and more shoulder explosive ability to be promoted. So jump and jack exercises with a resistant. We use a forward and backward jump and jacks. For an box, steps and up high knees. So previously we just seen on the spot marching and high knees. It's on a little more high intensity. Just step on it and go for a high knees. So you people feel we are unable to, or we affordable, we are not affordable, we are not supporting for this kind of weight resistant. You can use for an angle weights or angle coughs for an wrist and as well as an in the lower body and bases. And then next way we going to teach an weighted jacket. So for the weighted jacket, so this weighted jacket we have to wrap over the body. We then consideration of we are performing, we are consideration of performing basis. We just add over the weight. It's on a just weighted basis. You just add over the weight in the jacket. We just add over the weight as well as on the jacket. Some jackets we add over the weight for the jacket. It will be promote the same effect while having the barbell and shoulders. At the same effect, it will be promote. He has been a elite basis, so I suggest for a barbell. But low coordinative people, but they are doing in the high level of activities. They're going to be used in a weighted jacket and weighted calf. It's more supportive. Or some CP kits or some physically challenged or physically disabled people can enable to lift your barbell like this. So you can suggest for this jacket weight, weighted jacket and an angle weights also. It is for a little less exercise activities for just step up and down in the box. Before we'll go into the review, shall I stop on the sharing section of my screen, and I'll going to show you the how weighted calf will be helpful for joints. This is on a basic angle calf for rapid over, then rapid over, then below the knee and above the angle to be more resistible, to be more supportable for your resistant activities. And you can wear for on your wrist also, more supportive for in your uh, shoulder girdle exercises. For this is for an weighted jacket. Weighted jacket you can wear in as like a t-shirts. We can wear it, and how we are going to be perform, how we are going to be intensive training. What's your intensive training on your weight? We just add over like this. We just add over like this weights on the weighted jacket. We just add over 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 kg or 10 kg. We can add over. So based on this training and weight jacket section, it's more supportive for uh, physically disabled person to be more supportive and more helpful for on a training basis. And thank you to all for this representation. You can ask your questions and
Thank you, sir. Wonderful presentation. Participants, you can ask questions.
Shall we wind up this session, sir?
sure.
Thank you, sir. Before we wind up this session, there is a small announcement for all the participants. Our Rehab Store next webinar on topic Art of Drawing for Children with Special Needs, going to present by Mrs. Lakshmi Priya, art instructor. Those who are all interested, please register in prayer to be part of our next webinar, going to held on 25th October, 4 p.m. in Zoom app. Many participants say that they are not receiving any details regarding our upcoming webinar. To make that easy, we have uploaded our webinar details in our website www.rehabstore.in. Please do visit our website for further details. Thank you. Now it's time for vote of thanks. On behalf of Rehab Store, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks for those who have directly or indirectly contributed to our webinar today. First of all, I would like to thank our presenter, Mr. S. Arun Raj, for this wonderful webinar today. Thank you, sir, for giving a lot of information regarding physical training for special care children. And I would like to thank all the participants, and I would like to thank our Rehab Store CEO, Mr. Ravi Shankar, for organizing webinar on every week to help lot of special children parents and many rehabilitation professionals. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful work. Last but not least, I would like to thank our webinar team and Rehab Store team for helping this event. Thank you all. Dear participants, please complete the feedback form which is given in the comment box to get your e-certificate of this webinar. Thank you. See you all at our next webinar. Thank you.
हेलो
Thank you,
मैम.
sir. Yes.
मैम मैं पुणे से बात कर रही हूँ शीतल. मेरा एक बेटा है तो मैं उसको ओटी के लिए लेके जाती हूँ ऑक्यूपेशन के लिए, बट वो उसको स्क्वेट पोजीशन में बैठना डिफिकल्ट होता है, होपिंग करना डिफिकल्ट होता है. तो सर कुछ हेल्प कर सकते हैं क्या?
Ma'am, please ask your question in English. Please, we don't understand Hindi.
Sir also find difficult about Hindi. I have a son. He is 5-year old. He find difficult for a squat position and hopping. So if sir is help in this regards or guide.
Sir, Arun sir.
Yeah, ma'am. You can your question is your son to be doing troubling with the hopping section, right? Like in a single leg jumping. So your kid have a less strength between below the knees and below above the ankle. So you ask your kid go for a single leg stand in a one leg. It will be promote your it will be promote your strength on your lower leg. And next spaces, you ask your kid to jump in the trampoline. It will be more supportive and it will be assist for in your jumping and explosive strength.
Sir, what about squat position? He's not ready to sit on a squat position for a 1 minute. So.
Yeah, ma'am. We just before you start our training section, you consult with your occupational therapist and physiotherapist too. Based on your condition, based on your kids condition, to start the training. We are unable to assist you on this this is a video sections. So
Okay.
clarified with your physiotherapist and occupational therapist, and we just know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Sir, I hope if after no more questions, we can wind up, sir.